Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions for the first round of the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship, a fantastic four-round series where the grand prize is a test in a real Canadian F1200 car. Here on Pit Road Productions, I'm Reese Gardner, joined by Richard Swindells over that side of the screen. Richard, Formula Vee's at Lime Rock. It's a car track combination that many people are certainly aware of, but I reckon this is going to be a fantastic event.
Oh, I expect some super serious racing. The V at Lime Rock Park. It's just a great combination. As long as the drivers watch out for those sausage curbs in a couple of spots, everything should be very clean, and I hope to see some exciting racing tonight.
Yeah, indeed. They are racing the what I would call the most difficult layout of Lime Rock Park, which is an interesting thing to say because Lime Rock Park is a pretty simple circuit, but they're running the chicane layout. As you mentioned, those sausage curbs, those anti-cut devices at the apexes, they can do a number on the suspension. So, especially on lap one, the drivers are going to have to be very careful.
Yeah, with people, looks like we've got a big field here today, so I'd expect a lot of cars trying to get through that chicane section. You're going to go too wide, it's going to be really tight, and people are going to ruin the races early if they're not careful. Um,
Yeah. Going into this event, we have, of course, that four-round series that we are heading on for. Lime Rock Park, of course, taking part today. Summit Point Raceway is the next round of the championship, and then Laguna Seca, round three. We end off the season at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. So three free tracks to start off the season, and one paid. But of course, I think Motorsport is worth the money, as I'm sure you would say too, Richard.
well, it is a Canadian series, so I think we've got to finish here at a Canadian track, and that's the only track and the best track we've got for racing the Formula V's.
Indeed it has. Well, Brandon Hawken here, reigning champion of the series, returning for this season for a second crack at the title, and currently working out all right in qualifying, second at the moment, but the pace setter in practice was Charles-Etienne Boucher with a 103.3 to his name in practice, and he's certainly looking to make that pace up here once again. In Formula V, it's all about the slipstream around a track like this. Lime Rock Park actually is quite a high-speed circuit for being so short, so if you can nab a bit of slipstream from the car ahead of you, you're going to have a fantastic lap time, and I think that's going to be a huge factor in this open qualifying session.
Oh, definitely. The other thing with the V is it's not a lot of horsepower, so you've got to keep that thing rolling. You got to keep the momentum through all these tight corners. Well, the only tight corners really being the chicane section we're looking at right here. Uh, Everything else you're watching, and as we watch here, we got a timed lap coming from Brandon Hawkins, last year's champion. Let's tell us about this one, Reese.
Yeah, so you go through Big Bend initially, double apex, and already the lap's been invalidated there for Brandon. You got to be careful not to run too wide on the exit of the first turn there. But this whole first section of the lap is just gearing up for this run down the no-name straight, which is what he's coming down now. Not much of a straight. It blends to the right and left, and then you're braking for this chicane, being careful not to bounce off the curbs too much. Unfortunately, he's done just that. Brandon Hawkins' lap is completely gone there. He's still got plenty of time in the qualifying session to get things going there. We're seeing multiple drivers having issues with the curbs at that chicane. Alex McLean was just in the wall there as well. McLean, a driver that we're both familiar with, Richard, from our other series over at BIS. A couple of drivers from various leagues competing here today, a few from the Weekend Warriors League as well. So a nice spread of talent in this field.
Yeah, it's nice to see familiar drivers and some new faces here bringing on this competition, trying to get things done. Um, I did do a few practice laps last night, and looking and seeing how the track was laid out and how to drive this car. As we look at Eugene Cartini, the league organizer, coming up into the chicane section, let's see how he handles this.
Yeah, indeed. He's getting chased a little bit there by Alex McLean, but Eugene will have the gap that he needs It looked like McLean didn't quite get the curbs right in the chicane. This is the end of the lap, the diving final turn here. This is pretty much. Oh, it's on the verge of, if not completely flat out, in a Formula V. But you got to be careful to nail the line and lose as little momentum as you can for the run to the start finish line. See what this lap's like for Eugene. It's a 106.8, and that is the current slowest time of them all at the moment as McLean starts his lap behind him. But we'll see if there's any further improvements for him later on in the session.
Yeah, Thor Tulo coming out here, entering the Samposi straight. Let's see how his lap goes and see where he's put him. We expect him to be up high on the grid.
Yeah, indeed. Thor, one of the top three drivers in practice, and he sets a time good enough for fourth there, 104.1. That is a fantastic time there. Still looking to find about 0.5 of a second to overcome George Griffiths, who currently tops the qualifying session. But for now, everyone's just trying to find their space here, maybe find a draft buddy if they need one.
Yeah, getting a draft will certainly help your times out immensely, especially down this Samposi straight. It's the only way you're going to be fastest, I think, today. And if you put yourself 2, 3 tenths, that's going to move you up the grid severely.
Yeah, absolutely. The times are quite close at the moment. We actually have, looks like four drivers in the 104.1 bracket. It goes from Thortillo all the way back to Ariane Pagadala. In seventh place. And aside from that, the majority of the field setting times within a second of each other. We do have the guys at the top like Griffiths, Hawken, and Boucher who've gotten into the 103s. Thortolo just setting another lap and getting ever closer to that magic 103. 104.0 is now the benchmark time for fourth place.
103 lap times are quite an incredible feat here at Lime Rock Park. Track temps being 56 degrees. I was doing laps last night at 26 degrees, and I wasn't getting those lap times. So that's a pretty good pace.
Yeah, certainly is. Do need to have a big run through a lot of these corners, keeping an eye on the temperature here. The track temp is actually quite reasonable. If you're talking about the Sahara Desert, that is 56 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's just crazy track temperatures here. Usually we're expecting track temps to be around the 30 to 40 degrees Celsius bracket at most. So, yeah, I think the drivers are going to be having some trouble towards the end of these races trying to keep those tires nice and cool.
Oh, definitely. Fortunately for them, they're only 15-minute races tonight, so the tires will last. It's just going to be hard to keep those lap times going, especially as you get later into the session.
Yeah, indeed. Got to keep an eye on how the track temp evolves over the course of the night. And we do have everyone's paints now active in the session. So you'll be able to see exactly which driver is which. Some very nice liveries that have come out here for this series and a good variance of color. I am seeing quite a bit of red. I am seeing also a actually, the number 45 of Rob Wright seems to be running a kart tribute livery, looking a little bit like the Reynards that we saw in the late 90s there. Very nice scheme.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing a bunch of nice paint work, and that red and yellow is definitely kind of stellar. Uh, Looks like he's having a quick run off here, getting onto the Samposi straight, and let's see how this lap goes.
Yeah, as we see Charles Etienne Boucher getting back to the top there. 103.3 is now the benchmark time. That is crazy there from Boucher. And the question is, can anyone match that? I mean, 3/10 doesn't seem like an awful lot of time, but around Lime Rock Park, that is a country mile. Well, we'll keep an eye here on Rob Wright as he finds his way around the circuit here. Gentle turn in for the right-hander onto the no-name straight. And we'll see if he nails the chicane this time. When we've ridden on board with a car before, they haven't quite gotten the chicane right, but Rob does get it right. And, I mean, he's not being too aggressive with the curbs. I think he's just focusing on survival at the moment. As long as you get a time on the board, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, it's not necessarily having the best time. Just get yourself out of the back and keep it safe. Put down a time. Get yourself ready for the first race coming up very shortly. It looks like we're down to less than 5 minutes until qualifying's over.
Yes, we've got the clock ticking down as that's a 104.8 there from Rob Wright. I think he might be gearing up for a bit of a multi-lap run here. And hearing him downshift into third into the first turn, it raises the point about the Formula Vee here. Very interesting gearbox. It is a 4-speed H pattern, but the ratios are set up such that you only really need to use fourth and third gears. Second gear is quite short. I don't think you're going to be seeing drivers use second gear at all over the course of the season.
No, and especially not tonight. I did a few laps last night, and you're never going down below third, even through the chicane. It's just too slow, and there's no need for it. So why bother? Do
Yeah,
these
indeed.
cars use an H pattern? I'm not sure, Reese.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's a 4-speed H pattern gearbox. And that's been the case in Formula V from the very start. Of course, these cars started out as stripped down Volkswagen Beetles. And they carried over the mechanics, the internals from that car. Of course, this is a more modern spec of Formula V, a bit more purpose-built, but the same philosophy remains.
I wonder which of our drivers tonight are actually using an H pattern shifter. I believe there are a few out here tonight, but I'm not sure who is. I think Stuart Ross does use an H pattern, but I'm not sure who.
Yes, well, if you're driving with no driver aids, it's pertinent to use the clutch on the upshifts. Otherwise, the car just won't snick into the next gear. You can blip the throttle and not have to use the clutch on the downshifts, but some drivers might want to just to ease the load on the drivetrain and make the downshifts a little smoother. Regardless, you only need to think about shifting once or twice a lap in these cars, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, concentration and the efforts aren't necessarily spent on shifting tonight. It's all going to be about track position, getting in the car in the right position, avoiding scrubbing off speed, because if you're sliding through the corners, you're scrubbing off speed here, and that's going to cost you tenths that you'll never make up.
Yeah, exactly. And, the momentum, keeping those few tenths in hand is key in these cars. So keeping an eye on the lap time improvements here. Brandon Hawken just improving to second place there, a 103.4. The times are creeping down here at the end of the session. And if you want to get out there and set a lap, you should already be out there because this is a heat session. That means there's a hard cut to the end of the qualifying session. Once the clock hits 0, that's it. Even if you're on a lap, you're not going to be able to complete it. So make sure that you're starting your final laps right now.
Yeah, with the lap times about 104, we've got 120 left now, so only the cars coming over in the next few seconds are going to get a chance to do one more lap.
Yeah, here we go. 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the session, and we have a bit of a crash there up in turn 1. Not sure what was going on there. Keeping an eye on these sectors, it doesn't look like many people are improving on their first couple of sector times here. Not seeing any purples. I think Charles-Etienne Boucher might have done just enough to secure himself pole position for the first race of the night, and it is progressive grids in this event, so we'll have to make sure that the results end up reflecting that. You want to try and improve? Well, you just need to race your way forward. That'll grant you a better qualifying position for the races to come. 20 seconds left, and we have our final few times coming across here, but I'm not seeing any improvements other than the recent one from Brandon Hawken. So, Ariane Pagadala, unfortunately, that is a green sector 1 for him, but he won't have enough time to get to the end of the lap. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and that is 15 minutes completed in qualifying, and everyone disappears off the circuit. That is the end of the qualifying session, and the grid for race 1 has been set. 23 cars entering the server for this one, and Charles-Etienne Boucher is starting on pole position alongside Brandon Hawken. Thortello and Ariane Pagadala rounding out the second row, with George Griffiths and Evan Bigger-Jones in 5th and 6th. Ethan Orr and Stuart Ross are your fourth row, with Alex McLean and Xavier Martin rounding out your top 10. Keith Wilfred in 11th place, Ricardo Zelaya in 12th, Anaf Sharia in 13th alongside David Babson, Rob Wright qualifying in 15th, Samuel Bilo and Chris Marion with Michael Lentes there rounding out the 9th row, Tony Shen in 19th, Chuck Carvalho rounding out the top 20, and then we have our league organizer Eugene Cartini with Robert Murray and Dennis Barkhouse rounding out the field. And it's going to be a rolling start here behind the iRacing pace car, so there won't be many start shenanigans, I should imagine.
No, let's hope everybody keeps it clean, at least through the pace lap and into turn 1. We got 15 minutes or 12 laps of racing, expecting an exciting start to this season, Reese.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As we said, a very big prize on hand for the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship. This is an absolutely fantastic prize that these guys are racing for, the opportunity to test a real Canadian F1200. That's what they're racing for, and it all starts here at round 1. 3 races of 15 minutes each, 12 laps around Lime Rock Park. So it's going to be short, sharp, and fast, and there's going to be a lot of big moves to be made. But we've got to keep the track temperature in mind. It's still 56 degrees Celsius out there on the virtual tarmac. So the drivers will need to be careful of overheating the front tyres. Formula Vee is a car that is definitely loose on the rear, needs to be, in order to get through these corners. A great car to teach your car control, but you don't want to be scrubbing those fronts too much to minimise that oversteer, otherwise you won't turn at all.
No, you definitely don't. You also want to keep off those sausage curves, because that's where you're going to get into big trouble here today, as we've seen in qualifying earlier. Let's see how these guys do. It looks like they're doing a short pace lap here, and they're coming around the Samposi Straight pretty soon, if I'm reading things right.
Yes, indeed. Short formation lap here at Lime Rock Park. The field forming up behind the safety car as it pulls into the pits. And now it's up to Charles-Etienne Boucher to control the start. When does the green flag fly? Right now. And on the power they all get. Immediately, Boucher trying to move to the inside and weave to try and block the advances of those behind. Brandon Hawken can do nothing to make his way past him as they enter turn 1, but just side by side for third between Pagadala and Thortello. It's a clean start throughout the rest of the field. Everyone's given each other a good amount of space, good gentlemanly conduct here through the opening turns as we make our way to the no-name straight. Boucher not getting much of a gap over anyone at the moment. I feel like this is going to be a very intense race for the lead, as Hawken is already right on the back of him. But Richard, here we go into the chicane for the first time. Who's going to survive?
Well, it looks like everybody so far, and been a great clean start, even 3 wide through turn 1. Oh, it looks like we got some problems behind there, Reese.
Yeah, Xavier Martin and Samuel Bilo have both suffered issues at the chicane. In fact, right as you were saying, it was a clean start. They started spinning around. Robert Murray, meanwhile, has started from the pit lane, and he's just come out of the pits right ahead of this lead group. They are very close. Hawken is across the line in first place, and Boucher trying to hold the outside of turn 1 here. Thortello trying his best to get the momentum there on the inside, but it's the outside line that has it with you for the first turn here.
Oh, these guys are putting on a great show. We're only 1 lap in, just entering the second lap, and Thortello is trying to get, he's hanging in there third, just hoping for a chance here, keeping the draft going through the chicane, up onto the straightaway, and see if he can make a move down at the end with a spin ahead of them.
No!
Oh, and there he goes.
Oh no, that's a couple of cars there. Couple of cars have had issues there. Boucher and Pagadala, they have both spun there at the chicane. Probably not a popular choice amongst the drivers to have this chicane layout. Robert Murray, who I said had just come out of the pits ahead of the lead group, had also unfortunately spun at the chicane there, but he managed to get out of everyone's way in time. So what that has ultimately done is it's given Brandon Hawken a 1.7 second lead over George Griffiths, who now finds himself in second, and it is a battle of the runner-ups here. Look at that pack for second. 5 cars: Griffiths, Tullo, Ross, Bigger Jones, and Orr, all fighting over that second spot on the podium.
Yeah, Griffiths I've raced with previously. He's got some pace, but that's a big 1.9 second gap to try and make up, and we'll have to see if it's possible. Meanwhile, he's got to hold up the people right behind him, including Ethan Orr, who's trying to battle up here.
And what a significant development. Our pole sitter falling down the order. Boucher is now down in 13th place, and he'll want to try and fight his way back up because God knows it's going to be a tough night from here on out. He's just made up 2 positions, getting on the grass there, up into 11th place. David Babson and Rob Wright having to give things up there for the fastest man on the circuit right now.
Come down the San Posey straight. We've got a bunch of we got 2 side by side going into turn 1. Let's see what happens here. We got Thor Tullo holding the inside line, trying to keep around the outside. Good clean racing, but doesn't look like any positions changing right here, Reese.
Yeah, this is Formula Vee racing right here. You get in the pack, you try and fight with each other, you try and make your moves, but really, I think they're going to have to start working together to try and catch up to Brandon Hawken here. The reigning champion last season is off to a great start here. And in fact, his lead is, I think, extending here. It's looking about nearly 3 seconds that he now has over this pack here as they've crashed again. Griffiths up and over. And it looks like Ethan Orr might have been involved in that one as well. Ethan, I think, yeah, he stopped off the side of the circuit there. Oh, dear. All it takes is one tiny little error, and this is what happens here. Richard, talk us through this.
Yeah, it looks like right in the chicane section, just like where we expected, and everybody's looking okay right now, but first car went a little bit slow. George Griffiths went a little slower than they're expecting, and they just drove into the back of them. And somebody went halfway around the world, looks like, spinning around.
Yeah, goodness me. You spin me right round, baby, right round. That's very unfortunate. Well, we have a steadily growing list of drivers in the pits at the moment. Ariane Pagadala has not come out of the lane. Ethan Orr and Anaf Sharia now also stopped and off the circuit. It doesn't look like they are actually even present on the circuit right now. So there's a chance that they're just waiting for race 2 for that extra opportunity. Well, the battle for second is now a battle of 2, and Stuart Ross, it looks like, might have missed a gear there. Lost pace, and that's allowed Thor Tullo through into second spot.
Yeah, I think Stewart might be using an H-pattern shift, and he just missed that shift because that's where he's shifting into 4th, and he just slowed right down. But he's hopefully can keep in the draft of George and not let him get away because you'll never catch him. We got Keith Stein making a move up the inside.
Oh, yeah, we certainly have. This is the battle for 4th. Alex McLean trying his best to hold on here versus Keith Wilfred, and, well, there we go. Lovely move from the 48 of Keith Wilfred. Now, producer Daniel Salmon is certainly liking the paint job for Alex McLean. Britannia iSports, one of the top teams in the Canadian scene, with Pit Road Productions on the paint there. Nice to see. Love it. Well, regardless, he's still holding on to that 6th place, and he's going to be trying his best to work his way through now on Evan Bigger Jones, because Keith Wilfred's starting to jet away from these guys. And have a look, Charles-Etienne Boucher has found his way to the back of this pack. What a recovery drive it has been here from the number 89.
Yeah, that incident a little bit earlier put him back out as far as, I think, 11th or 12th. But with his pace, we expected him to move up, but he's moving up pretty quickly. We're in laps, just starting lap 7 at 12, so he doesn't have much time here. But he's trying to make a move. He's got 3 guys ahead of him, and dispatches with one, and he's got the next two. He's right on their bumpers now.
Yeah, he certainly is, firing his way through this pack. Evan Bigger Jones, it seems, ran very wide through the first couple of turns there. He's given up that place there to David Babson will try and take advantage of that one. But now Boucher sees an opportunity here. There won't be many out-braking moves into the chicane here. It's just too narrow to really fit two cars side by side. Got to focus on the exit. But Boucher is not able to take any advantage. The only place we're going to be seeing moves here is coming into turn one, I feel.
Yeah, he had. It looks like Boucher had himself the better exit, but there's just nowhere to go exiting that chicane. So, really, he demonstrated last lap that he can make up places here. Let's see if he can do it again.
Oh, have a look at how strong the slipstream is. He's going to be getting the slipstream off both of these cars. He's going to try and push one of them through. A little bit of contact into the grass goes Alex McLean, and he'll keep it on the circuit there. But he has the wide line through turn one, and Boucher sneaks through and takes the position. McLean is flat out at this point, but he's already lost some momentum. There's nothing he can do to preserve the position. Oh, look at the oversteer there from Boucher.
Yeah, he's got to hold it all the way. Just a little bit of understeer. He made a bad exit on that corner, just trying to push a little hard. But he's right up close now, so here we go entering the chicane. Let's see what happens.
All right, yeah, you can... Oh, Stuart Ross has crashed at the chicane. I think he might have caught one of the curbs there. He was running well in third, but now he's fallen behind them all. Let's see what happened to him. He was battling with Thor Tulo here, and Thor's just been minding his own business, driving well. Meanwhile, in they come, and yeah, there you go. That's the second sausage curb there that's really unsettled the car. Those things are absolutely brutal.
Yeah, once you catch those... trying to save it, if you're not pointing exactly straight when you hit it, it's just not going to happen. So luckily no damage usually. Live to fight another lap. He's just going to lose a couple of places.
Yes, well, the battle here continuing on in fifth place. McLean trying to hold on here from Evan Bigger Jones, who's managed to find his way up in the slipstream, and Keith Wilfred still right there. Charles-Etienne Boucher still in third spot. We're keeping an eye on this pack behind, though. Stuart Ross, David Babson, and Ricardo Zelaya. This is a very interesting fight indeed. If they can work together, they might be able to catch up to that third place pack. In fact, they are almost close enough to be getting a little whisper of slipstream from the battle ahead.
These cars produce great pack racing. We've got two different packs going on. You know, we're 10 laps into a 12-lap race, and there's good tight racing all around.
Oh, Keith Stein here on the outside, 3 wide, gently does it. Oh, that's a little bit of, technical issue there for Charles-Etienne Boucher, but they give him the space, and he works his way back through to the front of the pack, and now Bigger Jones is right there with them, behind McLean. Eye-catching yellow scheme. Make sure not to take too much of that curve on the inside, otherwise it'll ruin your momentum. But again, it's follow the leader through this chicane, Richard. It's all about who gets on the power most confidently and who can avoid those big red curbs, and it looks like a couple of them haven't been too successful.
Yeah, Charlotte and Boucher, great fight getting himself all the way back up to third place, but just lost a few more positions back there in that chicane.
Yeah, he falls to the sort of mid of the pack behind Keith Stein and Alex McLean. So through the final corner they come, and Boucher picking up the slipstream here, and Stein doesn't have any help here. Look, he's a sitting duck in a straight line. They're all catching up to him. Bit of bump draft there for Boucher on the back of McLean, trying to push him forward. They want to try and do that a little bit more if they want to catch up to Brandon Hawken, but the lead is just too great for the 98 at the moment, leading by 4 seconds, nearly 5 seconds over Thor Tulo. And this battle is for best of the rest, the last spot on the podium. Currently, Keith Stein is working his way through nicely, and Thor Tulo, I mean, he's just minding his own business there in second.
Yeah, all those incidents everybody else had, all Thor had to do was just basically keep it clean, and second's been handed to him as long as he can just keep driving the way he has been. This is where the race action is, though. We're coming in, we're coming down to the last lap shortly here. Let's see what can happen here.
Yeah, indeed. Thortullo, of course, drives Formula Vee in the real world and is a Weekend Warriors champion, so it explains why he's managed to keep it clean in second. But as the final lap begins for these drivers, currently Keith Stein still at the front, trying to get that race one podium, but here comes Boucher. Big run up the inside of Alex McLean coming into turn one, and he's not quite able to get it done on Keith either. Gently does it through turn one. These four drivers, they could finish in any order here in the battle for third.
Oh, great, exciting finish to this race. We got Alex McLean. He's trying to move up two places. It's anybody's game at this, or race at this point. The draft is going to be huge going down straightaway. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, back off just a little bit coming into the chicane. That's a position lost for McLean. Evan Bigger-Jones makes his way through, and I don't know if McLean's going to have a chance to fight back there. Up the front, meanwhile, Brandon Hawken has just exited the final corner of the race, and he is going to be the first winner of the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship for 2025. Beautiful stuff there from him, and Thortullo will make his way across in second place. That was Robert Murray alongside him, lapped car. Who's going to win the race for third? Boucher is just ahead of Keith Stein, and he's going to make his way through onto the podium. What a recovery after his spin early in the race.
Oh, Boucher had a couple of good recoveries here. It's unfortunate because he may have been up there battling for first, but great recovery drives. Let's see if George Griffiths coming across in 13th.
Man, quite a few positions lost for many drivers here. You know, I'm particularly thinking about a little bit of a battle. Yep, gently does it for the battle between Chuck Carvalho and Samuel Bilo. Oh, and it looks like Samuel's going to just get him at the line. Oh, that came out of nowhere. What a run.
No, there's racing all the way up and down the field and all the way to the finish line. You got to keep going till the end and see what happens. We got Ethan Orr here. He's coming up with, it looks like, no, they're all done now.
Yeah, looks like they are all done now. Plenty of digging for that gnome to do with the ruts that have been put into the grass thanks to the incidents in this race. That's your initial results here. 5 seconds in the hand of Brandon Hawken there to take the win from Thortullo and Charles-Etienne Boucher on the podium. What a recovery. Keith Stein and Evan Bigger-Jones rounding out your top 5. McLean will finish in 6th. As we go down through this list here, Richard, there's almost no need to go through the grid for race 2 because this is basically where they're going to be starting. So this is your race 2 grid right here. Hawken with a fantastic advantage.
Oh, definitely, and it does make it simple for us in announcing the grid positions for the next race, which I don't know. I believe is starting up pretty shortly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed. We already have the second race getting ready to go here. They're already lining up on the dummy grid. That's the thing about heat sessions in iRacing. They transition very quickly, so the races are very short and sharp.
Well, let's see what happens in this one and see if some of those guys who lost positions with incidents can keep it clean and give Brandon Hawkins a little run for his money.
Indeed, Thortullo, now that he's found his way up into second, will be trying to keep Brandon Hawken honest up the front. Hawken, of course, had that big advantage of the incidents happening behind him. That's what got him the big lead in the first place, but he won't have that luxury at the start here. Onto the Sam Posey straight they come. Pace car will pull in, and Brandon Hawken will control the start from here. Once again, 23 cars taking to the start here for race 2. A couple of them out of line. There's some confusion further back in the field, but then they all fan out as the green flag flies, and Hawken has gotten the fantastic start. Tullo already on the defensive versus Boucher.
Yeah, Brandon Hawkins got himself a nice jump and held his line, and it looks like he's taken off. Everybody's looking like they're going through pretty clean. Oh, a little spin in the back.
Spin. Oh, that's George Griffiths. No, Tony Shen has unfortunately found the grass there. And Robert Murray was very slow out of the pits as well. So Tony Shen, unfortunately, has gone there. And, well, now we turn our attention back to the front because Keith Stein has found his way into 4th place. and is starting to chase down that podium. Thortullo having to look in his mirrors here, because here comes Charles-Etienne Boucher.
Boucher is definitely pushing hard. He's trying to make up for what happened last race. He does not want Hawkins getting away from him.
No, certainly doesn't. And, oh, here we go. The draft train already in full play here down the front straight, and Boucher is going to try and go for the lead now on Brandon Hawken. He's wasted no time getting to the front. Oh no, that's a massive smash there. Alex McLean off the circuit, and the second car involved, oh my god, Michael Lenter just spinning off right there. Spinishing? What kind of word was that? Keith Stein also went off the circuit there. It looked like there was contact between himself and actually Thortullo. Stein went into the back of Tullo, and there was nothing that McLean could do.
Yeah, McLean was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, and it looks like his race is over, or at least severely hampered.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we'll see in a very short time what exactly happened there. It was just a case of getting on the brakes a little too late, and that's unfortunate for these guys. There's Stein there making his way back onto the circuit, and man, another spin there for Michael Lenters as he tried to re-enter the circuit. That's what happened there, into the back of Thortullo there for the 48, and Alex McLean not on screen at the moment, but he was one of the cars following, and there was a bit of a concertina which resulted in McLean falling off the circuit himself.
Yeah, rather unfortunate for those individuals, but the race goes on, and let's see what's happening now. We've got Stuart Ross having a nice battle. He's trying to get around Zelaya, it looks like.
Yeah, battle's not just up at the front here. Javier Martin holding on to the position here. And Stuart Ross, a driver who we're definitely looking to see big things from. One of a few very young drivers in this field. Of course, Formula Vee is an entry-level category, so is F1200 in Canada. So we have a lot of drivers making their first moves from karts to cars here, strutting their stuff out there.
Well, I have raced Stuart Ross myself in iRacing before, and it would have been fun to be out there battling with him right now, but he's definitely got some pace.
Certainly has, but Ariane Pagadala has found his way up the inside of turn one, and Ross will very wisely back out of that as just up ahead of them, Zelaya trying his best to stay in touch with Javier Martin. Gently does it through the right-hander on the way to the no-name straight. All about momentum once again through there, and look at this pack here behind. This is quite a dazzling paint that we're seeing from Samuel Below. Alex McLean making his recovery here, currently in 13th place, and it looks like he might gain another one. That's a poor exit for the chicane from Dennis Barkhouse, and he's going to get pincer moved.
Oh, and Sam Below with his beautiful paint job, he took advantage of everything, and he moved up 2 positions there, it looks like.
Yeah, lovely stuff from Samuel Below there. Now for Alex McLean, he'll have to try his best to stake his claim in this battle. Maybe do a bit of bump drafting, maybe a bit of tandem drafting, switching back and forth. No, you can't bump draft, so that is not an ideal way of getting further up the track, as our producer points out. Looks like Zelaya there just had an off on the exit of turn 2 as well.
Yeah, a little off track, but it looks like he's okay. I expected to see Alex make a good aggressive move at that corner there. He's definitely trying, and he's an up and comer, and he always forces moves. He's good at overtakes, and that was a nice clean one.
All right. The battle for the lead as well. Brandon Hawken and Charles-Etienne Boucher have been trading places for the front spot here, and Thortullo is driving very wisely. He's looking at these guys in front of him trading places and thinking, okay, as long as I can stay in the slipstream of these guys, I'll have a chance at the end of the race.
Yeah, it's a 12-lap race. They're only on lap 6. They've got more than halfway to go still. No sense making risky moves at this stage. Otherwise, they're going to repeat what happened last race.
Yeah, certainly will. Keep an eye out here. And interesting to note that Thortulo's team is Brabham Motorsport. He is running a livery very reminiscent of Nilsson Piquet's BT60, I believe, from the early 80s. That classic Brabham Formula One livery certainly translates nicely to a Formula V, doesn't it?
It does look nice. It definitely does look nice. Here we come exiting the last corner, and let's see if we have any moves made at the end of this straightaway.
Well, Brandon Horgan in the slipstream of Charles-Etienne Boucher. But interestingly, he's not pulling out to make the move. See, this is another aspect of Formula V racing, especially around Lime Rock. At the end of the long straight, yeah, you could go for the move, you could trade places, but you'd just be costing each other time. If it's only you two on the track, fine, you can race as much as you want. But if there's a third guy there with you, you got to be careful because he might take advantage. And Thortulo is the third man in question.
Yeah, you're losing. You can easily go from third to first if the guys up front are battling. And right now, I think they're just content to let it ride. And realistically, they've got several laps left. And let's see what happens. No sense battling now and taking yourself out, and make the move later on the.
Yeah, indeed. Just bide your time and wait for the final lap to find your way through. Brandon Horgan will exit behind and gently through the final corner. Tulo keeping the slipstream up and still managing to keep himself in range for that move when it comes. Round to start the 8th lap here. Into turn 1 they come. And I think this is just going to be a stalemate for the next few laps. You know, if I were in any of these drivers' positions, I wouldn't want any moves to be made. I just wait until the final lap to get it done.
Well, that's for sure. I think based on what's happened the last couple of laps, that's exactly what they're doing. It's just a matter, are they going to go on the last lap or the second last lap? And let's watch some more racing back a little further back in the field, because these guys, I don't think they're following that same strategy.
No, certainly not. They're all trying to scrap away for the minor positions in the top 10. Evan Bigger-Jones is the car at the front of this one, followed by Stuart Ross and Anaf Sharia, who we ride on board with. That's a move at the chicane. We don't usually see that. But young Stuart Ross absolutely firing his way up the inside, and Evan had no choice but to let him through. No one wants to even touch those red anti-cut curbs, and now Sharia will fancy a move coming into the final parts of the lap.
Wow, heck of a move by Stuart Ross. You know, that took some guts, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, indeed. It's one of those moves where, yeah, you put yourself in position and you're like, yeah, okay, you deal with that. And the driver behind will just be like, okay, all right, I'll let you have it. Meanwhile, Bigger-Jones, well, he was at the front of the pack this time last lap, but now he finds himself at the rear, absolutely getting double-teamed by Stuart Ross, Anna Sharia, and Ricardo Zelaya there.
It looks like... Reese, it looks like up front that we've had a change of position for the lead. Maybe they have decided to start racing. It's only lap 9.
Well, it looks to me like Brandon Horgan and Charles-Etienne Boucher have jetted away from Thortulo just a little bit. So maybe they've done the old swapperoonie, you know, you lead one lap, I lead another. Boucher breaking the draft here and falling behind Brandon Horgan. That is tactical there from Charles-Etienne Boucher. He wants to be the car in second place coming into the final lap. They're all trying to set up their final moves here. Unlike a game of chess, though, you can control where the pieces lay.
Yeah, this is great racing. All strategy. There's no sense going for anything early. Let's play it. Let's set it up, play it out the way we want, and see what happens.
Indeed. Well, back further in the field, we keep an eye on the two-car battle between Rob Wright and Xavier Martin. This is for 6th and 7th. They're trying to catch up to Ariane just up ahead of them. I don't know if they're going to have enough time to do that.
Yeah, we've only got 2 laps left as they got coming up, and I don't know. It's good. They're pretty far away now, so I think they're just battling for their own position.
Yeah, there's too much of a gap ahead to Ariane, and David Babson is on his own in 4th place as well. There are plenty of battles going on around the track, but these drivers here who are all on their own, they've just got to settle in now as across the line this battle comes. Who are we looking at here? We're looking at Arnaf Sharia, I believe, and Stuart Ross, who's actually caught up to Arnaf very nicely, and will try to get up the inside here at the second part of Big Bend, but Sharia, with the outside exit, has the inside line for the next corner. Remember, the smoke that we see from these cars is unburnt fuel and oil getting out of the exhaust. So that doesn't mean that there's a problem with the car necessarily. That's just how Formula V's work.
Yeah, my first time driving when I thought I blew the motor on the first lap, and then I realized they all do that.
Yeah, indeed. Starting back in the pack in a Formula V race, you get absolutely hammered by those clouds of smoke, and you have to have a visor tear-off button mapped. As up the inside of the final corner goes Stuart Ross, and he will take 8th position there as we come around to start the final lap for this pack here. Brandon Hawken, Charles-Etienne Boucher, and Thor Tulo still your top 3, and they're almost halfway around the lap already. Lime Rock Park is such a short circuit, and they've got a lapped car that they might have to contend with here. It's Eugene Cartini, the league organizer. Will they be able to catch him up before the end of the lap? And if so, will the pass be clean?
No, I think Eugene will let it be clean if they get in anywhere near him. He's the league organizer. He wants to set a good precedent here, and he doesn't want other people to do things any other way.
Well, now is the time for Charles-Etienne Boucher to set up his final move here. He gets up the inside of Brandon Hawken into the final turn. They almost bang wheels at the apex of the final turn, and out of the exit, it looks like it's going to be a drag race to the line. Boucher is just ahead, and oh no, has to take to the grass there for Cartini, but he's going to come across the line in front. 0.02 of a second is the gap at the end. What a finish.
Oh. That was an exciting finish, but we've got more racing still going on. We got Stuart Ross making a battle here. He's trying to make it Sharia.
Oh, he's ahead. He just gets ahead at the line. Oh, great battles rounded off here. Ricardo Zelaya rounding out the top 10 there. Bigger Jones, McLean, Below, and Barkhouse cross the line in that order in the battle for 10th. And well, we only have a few more cars left to take the finish here. Chris Marion just crossing the line, followed by Michael Lenters and Ethan Orr. And that's 18 cars finishing on the lead lap here for race 2. Goodness gracious me. Charles-Etienne Boucher coming out on top here. Brandon Hawken finishing in 2nd place. The gap was 18 thousandths of a second, nearly 200ths at the line there. Thor Tulo managing to get the podium. Excellent stuff from him. David Babson, 7th to 4th. But how about Ariane Pagadala? A 23rd place start and finishes in 5th. What a run through the field there, Richard.
Oh, fabulous result. That shows Ariane had some pace. This time got a clean run. Kept making up places, getting through the draft, getting through the traffic. Great job. You know, the thing that I was really impressed with, there were so many battles at the end. We couldn't keep up with them all, Reese. Tremendous finishes on the lap 12 with 20 cars.
Yeah, indeed. Finishing in 6th place, Xavier Martin. That's 3 positions gained for him and for Rob Wright too. Stuart Ross up 4 positions. Arnaf Sharia also started outside the top 20 and manages to get a 9th place for his troubles. But I think we're going to be seeing some runs in race 3 from Zelaya, Bigger Jones, and McLean if they can stay out of trouble. They all started in the top 10 and finished outside of it. And ultimately, Ethan Orr was the last car to finish on the lead lap. Robert Murray and Eugene Cartini, were the last cars in the top 20. Chuck Carvalho, Tony Shen, and Keith Stein retiring from the race. That's a real shame for Keith. It's a 4th place start for him in race 2, and he ended up retiring from the end. So I'm expecting a big run from him coming into race 3.
Yeah, we'd expect to see him move up pretty quickly, but you know, there's going to be a lot of traffic. He's got to do it cleanly if he wants to have a chance at a nice top 10 finish there.
Yeah, indeed. Reflecting on the track here, I mean, we have seen plenty of incidents happen at the chicane there, up at the top of the map, but I think that there's there's plenty of incidents that have happened at the first turn as well. Big Bend looks very simple on the map, but man, it's really difficult to pick your line through there.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of different ways to go about it, and when you got people going too wide and they're taking a line they're not used to, I think that's where we tend to see a little more incidents, different braking points, different trail braking, different places when they're getting on the accelerator. We've seen a couple of people go in a little late and heavy, a couple of spins. If you're going to go wide, make sure by now we're going in race three, they'll have experience going around the outside. So hopefully we can see a little more clean through the third race coming up shortly.
Yeah, I certainly hope so too. But I think the other side of the coin is the drivers will be dialing up the aggression as well now that they're familiar with each other at the start of this new season. So, got to keep an eye out for some aggressive moves, potentially round the outside here. Lime Rock is basically a road course that drives like an oval, from my experience. You only have one left-hand turn, and the rest are right-handers. Of course, there is one extra left-hander thanks to the chicane layout, but yeah, that's basically the only slow part of the circuit. Everywhere else, it's all about gearing up in the slipstream and trying to keep your momentum up.
Yeah, you got to keep the momentum. Don't, scrubbing the tires is going to hurt you too, as I said earlier. So they really need to keep everything clean. Really, I mean, you got to keep clean. You got to keep in the draft. If you get out of the draft, your race is over. If you're going for a top position, we saw that this race, and we saw that last race. This race, we had the three drivers, all within draft range of each other. Last race, they weren't. So it was a big separation at the end.
Yeah, I think what the drivers will be focusing on here coming into the third race is trying to just stay clean through the first part and through the first lap as well, because we saw those gaps happen. We saw those packs come together thanks to those initial incidents. If one car goes off, then you end up having a really tough time keeping the momentum up and trying to close that gap to the cars ahead. So, yeah, I certainly hope that we see the full field manage to make their way cleanly around lap one in this third race. But on past form, there's some slight doubt in my mind.
Well, more people made it around lap one than I expected. So they've done a good job. But unfortunately, there's been one or two each race um, that their lap one just didn't go as they were hoping. Perhaps this race we get a clean one. Let's hope for the driver's sake. But based on what we saw last race, I expect the top three guys to just get away, try and pull a little gap, and then just work together until we get near the end. And if I was them, that's exactly what I'd be doing. It worked last race. They all finished well in the points. They all got podiums, and there was nobody else around them.
Well, it's time for race three. The time for talking of what might be is now over. And well, it's time to talk about what is. The race three grid is going to see Charles-Etienne Boucher start on pole position, Brandon Hawkin alongside him on the front row. Thor Tulo still trying to nab a win here in the opening round of the season. He's gotten a second and a third so far. Let's see if he can finally get it done on Boucher and Hawkin. Ariane Pagadala starting in fifth place, just behind David Babson there. I'm expecting him to be a big factor in that top battle. Moving through to the rest of the grid here, Evan Bigger-Jones, Sam Bilo, Dennis Barkhouse, all drivers that were looking for some runs through the field from, in particular, excuse me, in particular, looking for that pack of 10th, 11th, and 12th. Zelaya Bigger-Jones and McLean as they pull away here, and Keith Stein also starting from the very back. He's going to be looking for a recovery as well. He's a fast driver, managed to get a fourth place in race one. Could he fight his way back into the top 10 by mid-race? We'll have to wait and see. Behind the pace car they go. Gently does it on the throttle here towards the green flag. In comes the Porsche 911. And Etienne Boucher will find his way to the green flag, and we are away for the final race of the night in the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship. And Boucher has managed to get a good start here. Plenty of smoke belching from these cars. Brandon Hawken immediately setting himself into second place, and Tulo is controlling third place behind them. Some side-by-side happening with Samuel Bilo trying to make his way past Alex McLean, and he's managed to get that done, just zipping around the outside of the left-hander. But now the view back from Brandon Hawken. How many of these cars that we see in the lead pack right now will still be here by the end?
Well, it looks like so far everything's gone well, but we're trying to, a couple guys going too wide through the chicane, and everything clean though, everything clean, and that's a great surprise to see.
Yeah, that looks like an absolute parking lot here, though. Too wide, too deep, 3 deep maybe, coming into the final corner here. Rob Wright in the Target livery had all of the track to himself there, but no one else did behind him. Zelaya will pick up the slipstream off him and try to get another position coming into turn one. Bit of a slow run from Xavier Martin, who's lost contact with Stuart Ross there. Almost 4 wide here. Arnav Sharia with a big dive to the inside in the blue and yellow machine, and he will get 1 position there off Samuel Bilo, and there's contact behind. Cars sailing off the circuit. It looks like Chris Marion off on the inside, and it's Evan Bigger Jones and one other car I could see. It was Michael Lenters who went off there at the first turn. So there's the chaos.
And I think Chris Martin we may have lost too.
Oh man. Well, turn 1 bites here at Lime Rock Park, but the front pack is still with each other. Hawken leading from Charles-Etienne Boucher, with Thortolo, Ariane Pagadala and David Babson catching on to the back. But can David Babson keep that pace up? Remember, Babson has had an interesting run through the field tonight. He started 14th in race 1, managed to get 7th, and he elevated himself to 4th in race 2. Well, we'll see if he can make it any better here in race 3. As it's side-by-side, Thortulo up the inside of Brandon Hawken to get second.
Yeah, it looks like the front 3 guys were working together that first lap or two, but now they're trying to assume a little positioning and put themselves where they want to be when they get near the end.
Well, Tulo here in the Brabham-inspired livery, back to third place as Boucher and Hawken will try and keep their run going at the front of this pack. Careful to stay off those red curbs.
Yeah, the front 5 guys here broken. Yeah, the front 5 guys have broken away from the next group of cars, and that's all working together and well, they've obviously got the pace to do so too, but looks like the first 3 now have separated a little gap, but they may be able to pull a little bit under the draft going down the straightaway here.
Now, Ariane and David in 4th and 5th, they need to try and work together here to keep up, because as they're almost 3 wide for the lead, this is a prime opportunity for them to gain some time back. As long as they stay within a second of the cars in front, they should be able to get the slipstream. You already see a lot of gravel being thrown onto the racetrack there with iRacing's recent debris refresh, and that will compromise the grip just a little bit in the first turn. So drivers will need to watch out for that.
Yeah, not only compromise the grip, you actually get the stones and dirt thrown up in your face, so it can be a little distracting too. So it's a combination of the actual grip and the mental aspect as well here.
Yeah, indeed. It's a big mental game as Formula Vee racing. Here's Rob Wright on the back of Xavier Martin. Number 13 still holding on to P7. Stuart Ross has managed to gain 1 position and is in a bit of a no man's land right now as we get very close here, coming out of the chicane. Gently does it into the second last corner. I'm saying gently does it a lot tonight. Oh dear.
Well, they got to be gentle here.
Honestly, that is Formula Vee racing. You've got to be gentle. You've got to be careful. That is the name of the game here. But Martin, Wright and Zelaya fighting here over 7th place. Who's going to get the run into turn 1? On the outside, it is Martin, but up the inside, going... actually, this is Alex McLean, Anaf Sharia fighting for P13, sorry. My apologies, completely missed the driver info on the bottom left there. Well, Easy
I thought,
through the right-hander from here, Richard.
yeah, I thought we were watching different screens there for a minute there, but a good clean racing and no contact. Everybody's battling hard. They really want to pick another position off each other. Alex is really looking hard here, but man, it's a tough go. You got to make your move down in turn one, I think.
Yeah, that is the name of the game, isn't it? A little bit more mid-corner speed here for McLean. Have a look at that. He's managed to try and get up the inside of Sharia here at the final turn. Ride the curb just a little bit, but you don't want to unsettle the car too much. Very entertaining battle for 7th, but the battle for the lead is absolutely scintillating right now as well. Hawken and Boucher have been trading places non-stop all the way through. And to tell you what, Ariane and David are still catching them. They're still staying with them. Getting into the gearbox here of our race leader is Charles-Etienne Boucher. But get on the brakes early. You don't want to run into the back of him coming into the chicane. And it can all go wrong in the blink of an eye.
That's some tight racing there. Charles-Etienne Boucher, tremendous driving, keeping up, not losing any space at all, setting himself up for the draft going down the straight here.
All in a line into the final corner. We're already at the halfway point of this race now. 6 laps done, 6 laps to go when they cross the line. Boucher with a great run out of the final corner, and it looks like Tulo's going to try and follow him through here. Hawken will fall to second, and Pagadala and David Babson still sitting pretty here as the top 3 slice and dice their way through the first part of this lap.
Yeah, Boucher looked like he got a little loose there on corner entry, and that allowed Hawken to get the position on him.
All right, here we go. Easy through the no-name straight. Again, they have a potential lapped car, potentially making life hard for them. Robert Murray, who has been trundling around at the back all night so far. We have to keep an eye out for him in the next couple of laps. He has been clean in letting the leaders go, but it's always interesting when you're fighting in a battle and you come up on a lapped car and you're thinking, oh, how is this going to affect my race going forward?
Yeah, once again, that's part of the mental game, and as long as the timing's in the right place. Looks like McLean may have crashed, and I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so it looks like this happened at the chicane. Potentially McLean caught one of the curbs. Oh, no, actually he caught the outside curb there, and that set him up for a wide entry, and there was nothing he could do from there.
Yeah, getting out on that outside curb just it threw him offline, and once he hit the saucer here, well, looks like Ariane has gone off the track, but recovered, but now out of the draft, and that's going to hurt drastically.
Looks like that was Robert Murray letting our leaders go there in the 198. So, he's very slow at the moment. Looks like he's just concentrating on letting the lead lap cars go. Good on Robert Murray for sticking it out here. He started from the pits in all 3 races tonight and is just having a fun time out there, it seems. Well, we'll turn our attention back to the lead battle. Ariane Pagadala has found his way into 3rd place. Thor Tulo back to 4th. And the lead is side by side again. This is the opportunity that Ariane will be looking for here as they're side by side again. 2 wide, 2 deep through the first turn.
Wow. Tremendous racing. Nice, respectful racing. No contact. I think everybody's just biding their time. They want to move up a little bit, but they want to be there at the end. We're only on lap 9.
Yeah, indeed. Still got quite a bit to go here. 3 laps doesn't seem like much, especially at Lime Rock Park, but, you know, we definitely have plenty of racing potential around this circuit and plenty of pitfalls as well. It seems like a simple track from the air. I said it in practice, I said it in the warm-up, but it is anything but when you're on the ground.
All tracks look simple until you're actually there in a 5-car battle for the lead. But this pack is definitely broken out. They got a 7-second lead on Stuart Ross behind them, and they're done exactly what they need to do to make it to the end and have a chance at the win.
Well, here we go. 3rd last lap here. And Tulo finds his way back into third place. It looked like Pagadala was stuck on the outside of turn 1 there. You can keep up the momentum, but you got to be brave. You got to get on the throttle quickly. Meanwhile, Stuart Ross all on his own there. George Griffiths and Ethan Orr fighting over 7th place. And these two have had a great run up through the field. Griffiths is up 8 spots and Ethan Orr is up 10. It's been a great recovery from them.
Yeah, both drivers, hard charging. They both got a lot of pace. They just, they needed to be in a better position at the end of race 2 to be up in that lead pack.
Yeah, for sure. Shame that they are so far off. It would have been nice to have a 6-car potential battle for the lead of this race. Going on further back in the field, this is the fight for Barkhouse, Zelaya, and Marion. They're all fighting over 13th place. And there's still plenty to be decided. 2 laps to go for our leaders, and they are not leaving each other any space at the front of the field. This is crazy racing. Brandon Hawken keeping his eye out here, and David Babson has now found his way into 3rd. I have no idea what the finishing order is going to be.
Yeah, they've decided they're not waiting for the last lap. They're going for it. They're pushing now. Let the chips fall where they may.
Down into the chicane, hard on the brakes, keep the momentum up, careful that you don't lose momentum up the hill. Not much power in a Formula Vee, so any extra speed you can carry through the corner is worth something. And it looked like Boucher was able to get a good run out of the chicane, but he had to stay behind Hawken for the next couple of turns. He can set this up here. The white flag is in the air. Barney's going to be waving it as they come across the line. And Boucher will commit to the inside of turn 1 here on the final lap of the race. But here comes David Babson to make it 3 wide for the lead. It's going to be 4 wide with Ariane Pagadala fighting his way around the outside. He's going to get them all, and around they go. Charles-Etienne Boucher and Thor Tulo. It looks like Brandon Hawken was spun around. They all survived, but Ariane Pagadala going to the lead of the race in what was an incredible move.
Yeah, Charles-Etienne Boucher and Brandon Hawkins both lost out on that first one.
They certainly did. Good Lord, what a final lap this has been, and there's still a bit more to go. Babson gets a good exit out of the chicane, and up the hill he comes. He's going to be right in the slipstream here, but Thor Tulo with the momentum around the outside, he has to take to the grass. Who's going to come across the line in first here? Pick up the slipstream now into the final turn. Defensive from Ariane Pagadala forces Babson wide in the final corner. Tulo's going to come through here. Oh, he doesn't find a way through. Yes, he does, but Pagadala has the momentum, and Tulo's going to have to settle for second here. Ariane Pagadala is going to round out the race here with the win in race 3. Again, an incredible finish.
Yeah, let's take a look at...
Yeah, look at Pagadala here. He just sweeps around the outside, but I think there might have been a bit of contact there. He might have tipped Brandon Hawken around.
Yeah, let's take another look at that again.
Okay, so keep an eye on Brandon Hawken here. So Pagadala around the outside, a little tap there, but really Hawken was spun around by, that was Boucher on the inside there. I think it's just a case of you have a car on your inside, you have a car on your outside, and there's only so much you can do to avoid contact in those circumstances.
Yeah, it was hard racing. When you go 4 wide into turn 1, you're not often going to come out with 4 cars.
Good Lord. Oh, what a finish to the night, and what a debut round of this championship for 2025. So Ariane Pagadala winning by less than a tenth of a second from Thor Tulo and David Babson. Tulo with the most consistent results of the night, a second, a third, and a second. I don't think he's going to be in contention for the round win, though. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out as to who actually won the round here. A lot of varying results throughout the field, even in the lead group.
Yeah, next we had Charles-Etienne Boucher, that unfortunate last lap incident. He pushed down to 4th. Stuart Ross, nice finish in 5th. And Brandon Hawken, once again, involved in that incident on turn 1. He's down in 6th.
Yep, in seventh place, George Griffiths and Ethan Orr making up 10 spots. Great run from those two. And same for Samuel Bilo as well. Started lucky 13th and finishes 9th. Rob Wright, Xavier Martin, and Anaf Sharia, 10th, 11th, and 12th. They all started in the top 10. They wouldn't have been too happy with the result there. Zelaya also losing spots into 13th. Dennis Barkhouse finishes exactly where he started in 14th. I think he's the only driver to do that. Alex McLean in 15th place. Interesting round for McLean. He had the pace to work with the top group, but unfortunately, circumstances dictated otherwise. And we do have two cars finishing where they started. Chris Marion starts 16th, finishes 16th. Carvalho, Bigger Jones, Shen, and Cartini round out your top 20. Robert Murray, Keith Stein, and Michael Lenters unfortunately not making it to the end of the race from there. Oh, dearie me. Well, tell you what, Richard, if that's anything to go by, we're on course for a fantastic championship here.
You know, Reese, when I was asked if I wanted to join in the broadcast on this series, I said sure, and then I started reading about the series, and after watching the first week, wow, that'd be so much fun to be in the car. Exciting to watch, exciting to call for us, and I'm sure it's exciting for the racers.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Well, we're waiting on drivers to come in for interviews, but looks to me like Thor Tulo might be in here and ready to have a chat with us potentially. Thor, welcome. What a race! What a round for you. Podiuming in all three races, but it was all chaos around you.
Oh man, tell me about it. Just crash after crash after crash. I just feel really lucky to be able to just stay in one piece, you know?
Yeah, indeed. Well, regardless, it was all about survival, I think. It seemed like everyone in the field had an issue somewhere except for you.
Yeah, I just try to keep my nose clean, especially in the final race. I just saw them going four wide, and I knew something was going to happen, so I just prepared to take advantage of it, and I almost fully did, but I just got beaten right at the end.
Well, regardless, it's podiums in all three races here at Lime Rock, and Summit Point is the next round of the championship. So, what are your thoughts on that place? It's another free track. It's another simple track, but definitely a much heavier braking zone than the one here at Lime Rock.
I absolutely adore Summit Point. I've been driving laps around it for years, and honestly, it's probably gonna be pretty close to what we saw today of like really big packs, really good racing. But yeah, just hoping for more of what we had today. Maybe a little less crashing, but yeah.
Yeah, indeed. There was plenty of chaos here. Well, regardless, lovely results from you, Thortulo. Thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck next time out at Summit Point.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's Thortulo there joining us as the next car to join us is going to be the winner of race 3. Ariane Pagadala joins us, and man, Ariane, what a move there into the first turn, coming onto the final lap. That's one of those moves that I think, you just find yourself in that circumstance and you think, yeah, I'm going to go for it. We don't have Ariane Pagadala at the moment,
Hey
but I think
guys.
we do now. G'day.
Yeah, honestly, that was like the most fun I've had in a while on sim racing. Like that was a beautiful race.
Yeah, fantastic race 3. Difficult runnings to get there, though. You started 4th for race 1, ending up with a 23rd place to your name after some big chaos in your area of the field.
Yeah, with like everyone running so close, like it was bound to happen. Like there's gonna be some contact that I couldn't avoid. I mean, it's all good because that just gave me the motivation to like go for it in the next race, and got the job done in the final one.
Indeed, you did. It's a short championship, only 4 rounds, but there's plenty of racing to be had there. Which of the remaining tracks do you think you're strongest at? Summit Point, Laguna Seca, or Motorsport?
Honestly, like with how cause I live like pretty close to Motorsport, so like I've been practicing that track for a while, so I'm really excited for that one coming up.
Yeah, certainly going to be a slipstream fest, much like the one at Lime Rock, but probably
Yep.
times 2. Well, Thank you very much for joining us, Ariane. Congratulations on your race 1 win there, and hopefully race 1 goes better for you next round.
Oh yeah, I'll work on that next time. Thank you.
Ariane Pagadala there joining us, and looks like that might be all we have the opportunity for when it comes to driver interviews, Richard. So that's going to round off the show for tonight here on Pit Road Productions. What an opening round of the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship. I'm really excited for the remaining rounds.
Oh, I am as well. I mean, that was exciting to watch. It was exciting to call. Eugene Cartini has done a great job of getting all these guys together and putting on a show. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next time at Summit Point.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Summit Point, of course, is the next round, and man, it's a track that anyone should be familiar with on iRacing. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing these drivers maximizing everything they can at the second round of the series. Thanks very much for joining us, everybody. If you're watching on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel, thank you very much for your patronage, and we hope to see you next time. I'm Reese Gardner, Richard Swindell's over there on my left-hand side, and Daniel Zippy Salmon on production here on Pit Road Productions. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.